Are you ready for the heavyweight championship of the world? Are you ready?
Hey, welcome to Unanimous Corner, bringing you another episode of Unanimous Decision. And today, who we talking to, Bill?
You heard what he said, Unanimous Decision. Everybody knows that's our exclusive interview series. And today, like I always say, we have a good one. This group gave you the hits. You Got It All and the Monster Smash, Crush on You. Today we have Moana from the Jets.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
All right. Welcome to the show, Moana. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Aloha, coming from Hawaii.
There we go. A couple time
nice.
zones away. Are you ready to step into this ring?
Yes, I'm ready to get to it. It's good to be here with you.
nice to have you here. Bill, it's on you.
First off, thank you for blessing our channel with your presence. The Jets are a part of my life. The 80s, the whole neon shoelaces, the whole everything I think about The Last Dragon movie.
Oh my goodness.
And all
Bruce
that
Leroy.
sound.
Yeah. Right.
So that sound is what I always think about when I think about that era music. Perfect. Like that was perfect music to me. So again, thank you for blessing our channel. We truly appreciate it. And this is really big for us. And we truly appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it too.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, your family is of Tongan descent?
Yes.
Okay. Was your music influenced any by your culture?
If you hear Tongan music, it's very folk sounding, very island. So we definitely had music in the blood our whole lives, but our style of music definitely came from Earth, Wind, and Fire and the Jacksons and what we loved. But yes, Polynesians by nature are very musical people. So, yeah.
I could definitely hear it in the voices. I was talking with Bill earlier. I just think, and how old were you guys when you guys broke? Like
when we came out as the Jets, I was the youngest in the group. I was 11 years old. So we came out as the Jets. Our parents were like, they were, what do you call it? Immigrants that came from the islands in the South Pacific. They had come in the 60s. They were looking for the American dream. They had 10 kids, didn't know how to feed them. They, just trying to work it out and hustle. And they stumbled on a variety show with the Jacksons and the Osmonds. And they were like, we can do that because we love music. We could just put the kids to work now. But that's kind of how we got our start is our parents. My dad was like, let's get all the instruments, set it up in our living room. Nobody knew how to play anything. But He was like, it was just, we knew how to do the Polynesian dancing. Our mother was a musician and our father. But he sat us down and said, we have a goal here. We're either going to go landscape and yard work, because that was his business, or we're going to go full show business. So you guys vote. And I was too little to vote. Yeah. So everybody voted and our family decided to go with it. And my dad is kind of one of those think outside the box kind of guys.
Yeah.
Barely spoke English, but he went and got all the instruments and said, we're going to learn and we're going to figure this out. And the first song that our brothers played was You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog by Elvis Presley. And then we did Jacksons and Osmonds and Donna Summers and all of that.
All right. So the part that you're bringing up, obviously, when I hear the music, I could hear some influence, especially with American culture. So the name, I can't help but think of Elton John. Like I'm assuming that's art. So obviously, all right. So whose idea was that? And also, what's the connection to you guys and
the name?
Yeah, Benny and the Jets.
Well, our last name is Wolfgram. It's German. We look nothing German. Our manager was like, the kids are great. You're very talented, but we can't use that name. It just doesn't match. So he came to see us at a show and heard Elton John's song, Benny and the Jets. And he thought, Jets, that's simple, easy, sounds young. We could put it on T-shirts. And it's kind of how we got the name. The only problem is my parents don't have the letter J in the Tongan language.
Yeah.
So it comes out the Sets instead of the Jets, but go figure.
I just always assumed it's either Elton John or it's the
West Side.
Yeah, I'm like, it got to be West Side Story or Elton John.
It was definitely a combo because we took the look. Our first promo videos was all Jets, from West Side Story. Yeah. When you're a Jet. Yeah.
That's so. I'm thinking the name the Jets. I can just see the writing, like you said, on the shirts. I'm thinking about the 80s writings where it's just a funny way to write it, just a bunch of loud neon colors everywhere, and not really New York graffiti, but just 80s era of designing and writing. So I definitely could see how, like you said, it's easy. It could just be thrown on a shirt and you can do a lot of things behind it and around it. So that actually makes a lot of sense. And they chose a pretty good name.
Yeah,
and it's easy to stick with.
He was really the one that had the vision for it. We were in Minneapolis just doing nightclubs, and Prince had just come out with Purple Rain, and he was making, all kinds of noise in the business. And we happened to be at the right place at the right time, ended up working with his same producers, and just got kind of that, we really were at the right place at the right time. And that's Minneapolis. Of all places for a Polynesian group, we just happened to be stranded there. So it worked out.
Yeah.
Good place to be stranded.
I know, right? So speaking of Prince, so you had Prince, The Time, Morris Day, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and we have the Jets. So growing up, what was the music scene like in Minneapolis?
Boy, it was right after Purple Rain. So everybody was hot on, everything was purple. Just that Prince, his influence right there in the cities was huge. In fact, our first single, Curiosity, the songwriters were Aaron Knight and Jerry Knight and Aaron Zigman. They wrote on Breakin', the movie Breakin'. And they said that they took that chorus melody from Erotic City, I think. So Curiosity was hugely influenced when they wrote it from that.
Nice. So you guys are pretty much all family members. Not pretty much, you guys are all family members, just like the Jacksons. Was it difficult for you guys to perfect the music? I guess being in a family, because I know a lot of times siblings fight a lot, siblings don't get along. My sister and I fought all the time. Like, we didn't get along until after I moved out the house and finished up college and we became close. But how did that all come together in the household with you guys?
Well, very culturally, everything is about listening and working together. And we were really tight. Our parents are very Christian, very we do it together. We don't talk much. So when we became the Jets, we worked hard at such a young age that when we got the opportunity, this manager, Don Powell, happened to be Stevie Wonder's manager when Stevie was a kid. And he worked for Motown. And he's seen this potential and said, if you could work with me, well, let's find something unique and different. We were 11 to 19 years old. So he really helped us kind of mold a sound. He was very instrumental in helping us figure out. It was only later on that we started to branch out artistically, start writing our own music. But I most definitely will say in the beginning, they helped package our group. He knew we had the goods with the voice, the group, the brothers. We all were a self-contained band, but he was helping us trying to figure out a style, something like that. So yeah, Don Powell was very instrumental in it.
How long did it take for you guys to really get the instruments and really learn how to really play the instruments and so forth?
Oh, well, my brother Leroy taught everybody bass, guitar, drums, keyboards.
Wow.
And because we worked in clubs, people think the Jets just came out. We were working 3 years in nightclubs. We would go to school in the day, and then we would do the lounges at hotels and dinner clubs. They had these, I don't know if they have them. It's rare around places now, but used to have like a dinner club where after a certain hour, then it turned into a nightclub.
Nightclub.
And
Yep.
we were that variety band that would come in there and do everything from
So
rock music to R&B.
by the time you guys broke, you even though you were 11, you already
Wow.
had you had the tutelage of like a couple years under your belt where you
Yeah, I mean, we had to mature fast. We
Yeah.
were the ones that kind of the breadwinner for our family. You know, I was the
Yeah.
youngest of the 8 oldest. Well, there's 8 in the group, the Jets, but our parents had 9 more kids after us.
Mhm.
So we were pretty much working pretty young, always kind of hustling to
Wait.
get work. So,
Wait. You said there were 8 of you,
yes.
and then there was 9 more after the 8?
Yeah, that's 17. That's
Yes, it's 17 kids. So
like,
yeah,
like
it's a
3
lot of
bands
kids.
worth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you brought up Moana, you brought up packaging and how you guys were strategic behind that. I want to bring up a couple of things just because. So I'm finding out about you guys when I'm in my younger years, when I'm a kindergartner, I'm 6 years old. But a lot of times my introduction to the Jets was mainly through soundtracks.
Mm.
So until recently, I always just assumed that you guys did the TV version as well, but I know definitely it's a version out there where you did the Chip and Dale soundtrack.
Right. Yeah.
And I know all the words to the extended version, by the way.
Oh,
So
that's fun.
Karate Kid 3, Burglar, Beverly Hills Cop. It looks like you guys were strategically placed on some great soundtracks. Was that number one? Did being on those soundtracks help you achieve the level of stardom that you guys expected? And number two, how difficult was it to get featured on soundtracks back in the 80s?
I think the fact that we were Polynesian worked to our advantage. When we would go to New York, they didn't know if we were Puerto Rican or Cuban. We go to LA, they thought we were Filipino. We got along great with everybody. And the guy who signed us at MCA was Gerald Busby, who became the president of Motown Records.
Yeah.
So
what time frame was I'm sorry.
This
what
is
time
like
frame is
1984, 86 is kind
Right
of
around.
Okay. Yeah, you predate New Edition joining MCA, but they had a whole
I think New
I want to
Edition
talk about they came
right
in a couple years
right before us. And so
Mhm.
they actually came out before us. Gerald Busby had them signed, and they were just looking for younger artists. We just happened to be what they were looking for. And then because we were not quite black, not white, our manager was able to throw us kind of in the mix. The very first single was only released on Black radio, and they didn't put a cover on it on purpose, so they could just see how well the
sound
single
itself,
went.
The tested. Yep.
And back then MCA had a umbrella that was just black music. So I mean, I'm assuming that you guys were in that mix with the Gladys Knights of the world. Like it had you had a lot of bandmates, like a lot of label mates.
When we came on the scene, we were working with Ready for the World, New Edition, Evelyn Champagne King, and they were all like, welcome to the label, Climax. So we were just kind of the newbies showing up and, working with all of them. So.
What was the tour schedule like for you? Did you guys get a chance to tour with any your label mates back in the day?
We did. We warmed up a lot for New Edition, and then they threw us on a rap tour called the Fresh Fest. And it was just us and that was that group. Lisa, Nicole Cham, but what's the other group? Full Force.
Full Force.
Yeah, Full Force and the Jets were the only bands on this rap tour, and we pretty much got booed the first half of the tour because we were the opening acts. And then by midway, some of our other Crush on You came out, and they started. We know this group.
I think Gerald needs a biopic, by the way. So hopefully Hollywood makes that happen.
Yeah, probably so.
So it's a different time.
Yeah.
You mentioned Crush on You. 80s. There is no playlist, 80s, early 90s, whatever you want to call it, that Crush on You is not a part of. I remember dances, middle school, and we are dancing to Crush on You. And to me, it crossed over multiple genres. When did you realize, or when did the family realize that we have a hit record?
It was definitely Crush on You. Curiosity came out, and it was top 10 in the R&B charts, but Crush kind of hit it. It crossed over immediately, and it was up there with Whitney's How Will I Know, It was just kind of trailing all of this. We just happened to be right out with that pop R&B. And mind you, the record companies, they were separated. There was an R&B department, there was a rock department, country. So R&B was starting to make its way into the pop, and Crush on You just happened to be a good crossover to pop radio.
So actually, I want to bring up one of my you know what? So I mentioned before this interview started, Moana, that I have a 5 and a 7-year-old who could sing all the words to You Got It All, right?
Man, that's great.
I don't know if you've ever caught some of your pop culture references, but in Everybody Hates Chris, which is one of my favorite shows, Tanya's favorite group it's Billy Ocean, then it's you guys. It's the Jets. So I think that's extremely relevant and important. I don't think that's by mistake. I think it's based on a true story. So you guys are one of the few instances when it comes to groups from the 80s that have managed to remain relevant in pop culture. What do you think is the contributing factor to resonating with today's audience?
That's a good question. I don't know. I just know that good music, right timing. It was, I feel like 80s is still the era of music that was original in fashion and in culture. Like it was the last original era. And now everybody be borrowing from different cultures, but it definitely was its own era. The hair, the makeup, the clothing, the sounds, all across the board were very different. I don't know. We did catch that, and my kids always trip out. They're like, what? And, because they only see me as the mom over here.
Yeah, it prompt my little ones to go to Google to just look it up. So they like, what video is she watching? What song is that? So for some reason, like I feel like because of that, not just because of that show, but definitely part of like when people watch those episodes, they go back and Google you guys and they find the music. So that's a wonderful
it's pretty awesome to see that, because it's been 37 years since we came out.
Yeah.
And so I crack up that all my kids love 80s music, and we'll take them to some of the shows and they're like, I didn't know this came out of the 80s. I didn't know this was the jam. And they'll come and watch Midnight Star, and I'm like, this is real music right here. These are real entertainers. When some of my nephews came to see Zapp, they know all of Zapp's music. They did not know that Zapp was in their like 60s, 70s now.
Right.
That's how good their music is. And they are entertainers. Very, you know what I mean? They know how to entertain. Old school.
So were there any songs that you guys passed on any songs that were for you that you guys passed on and it went to someone else and became a hit, or you guys like, man, we should have kept that one to ourselves, or vice versa?
Right. So there's two that stick out to me. Is Earth, Wind and Fire passed on our song Rocket to You. And it was written by Bobby Nunn, and they had said, well, we're going to throw you this song, Earth, Wind and Fire passed on it, but it has this feel, kind of has that. So we ended up picking up Rocket to You. There was a song that we passed on by Selena, and it was a song written specifically for the Jets. And our record company passed on it, and it was titled Dreaming of You.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
what?
I can definitely hear you singing that.
Yeah. Late at night when all the world. Yeah. So our record company passed on it. The writers say it in interviews that we wrote it for the Jets.
What was the time lapse between that? Like, so
I think it was like mid 90s.
No, I know when Selena
when Selena came out.
But when did you guys pass on it? Like, what was the turnaround? Like, you pass on it and then a month later Selena has it, a couple years go by?
You know what? I only heard about it after we found out. And it was like after she passed away and we watched the movie, and then the songwriters talk about the song and they started mentioning that they wrote it for the Jets. And then we were like, they wrote it for us? We never heard about this,
Also, so basically, when you pass on a song, sometimes it's an executive decision. You guys don't even hear it.
We didn't even get to hear it. So sometimes we get the whole shebang where people are throwing in demos and we're all trying to, collaborate. And other times they're throwing, music out there. So today, when we do shows that are longer than like a 45 to a minute hour show, we have a whole section where we sing Dreaming of You. And we have video footage where my sister and I will sing and do Selena's version of it as a tribute to her, and
That's
just kind of keep that song alive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Isn't
were
that
there
crazy?
were there any were you able to work with any of the Minnesota greats, the Princes?
So Prince wrote a few songs for us, and we never heard them because our producer at the time was David Rifkin, David Z. And we were like, why can't we hear them? And he's like, I had to tell him, Prince, their family. The song isn't, and he said that it was a little bit more, a little more raunchy, a little more raunchy.
Okay.
So he didn't let us kids hear it.
Yeah,
But we did. Yeah, we did 3 albums at Paisley Park. We were the first band to record a video at his Paisley Park studios. And he would slide in and out and listen to the music. I think we were always kind of starstruck when he'd roll up because he'd just come out of nowhere, just come in and listen and take off. But we became very good friends with Sheila E. And she would come in a lot. And because she's family, whenever we would see her, she would just always kind of like treat us like we were her, little brothers and sisters, and just make sure y'all still getting along and everybody good to go. And, so that was cool.
I'm sorry, but I got to ask this question. When did you have like wow moments? Like
that's 2 wow moments right there.
Do you guys like understand? We're in Paisley Park, and this is Sheila E. And did you guys have that feel of that?
All the time. Like it was always surreal when we'd end up at places where we're like, God, I can't believe we're here. We used to watch the Grammys. We used to sit and watch the Grammys. And the first Grammys we went to, or American Music Awards, Janet was doing Control. And I was tripping out, like, what? I can't believe we're here. But the very first one was Tina Turner. And she came into town and did a show, and we were brand new, and they were looking for a group to warm up for her. We went to watch her show, and then they said, if you guys can make it, there's 2 bands trying to get to this little city in Iowa. If y'all get there before the other band, you get to warm up for her. Wow. So yeah, those moments were amazing. I never actually met Miss Turner, but she was my first concert to watch. And Boy George, he was the one that gave us our demo to MCA Records. He wrote a reggae R&B kind of song for us. And then he invited us to his show in Indianapolis. It was the first time any of us had been on a plane. We were at a fancy hotel. You got all these kids that come from one big family. We're not used to the nice things, we're used to survival style. So going there. George from Culture Club.
That's amazing. Like usually when you watch these origin stories or biopics, there's always like a one lucky moment, like something that's like a defining moment towards the beginning before a big break. Yeah. Man, I know definitely you guys had a lot of favor because there's like, you've mentioned like 8 big breaks. Like it just seems like it seems like this was something you guys were truly destined to do. And I do want to bring one thing up. So you guys were one of the groups that was featured on the series Unsung.
Yes.
And I think most fans would agree. I don't feel like I do feel like you guys are unsung. I don't feel like you guys are giving your just due. That just may be me. But
thank you.
Yeah. So what was the biggest obstacle that you feel was responsible for you guys being placed in that unsung category?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, we had 8 top 10 hits in different categories, but I think we had a hard time focusing on who was the lead at the time, the lead singer. And we were not used to learning what it was like to have charisma. We were very nice kids. Our manager was trying to find that one that kind of, has a little bit of something. And we were super, super nice. And you can only do so much with super nice. You got to kind of catapult beyond it. And Liz and I were the lead singers at 11 and 12, super shy, not used to the audience. You know what I mean? Yep. I don't know. There's a lot of factors that get involved with that. But then you also have to understand that the record companies are always looking for that new kid on the block that, you come in and you do your thing, but then they're ready for the next new flavor. Yeah. And the Jets had been on the scene for a good 5-6 years straight. Yeah. Solid we were doing. And so I think it was like, that people, it's just time for something new. New Jack Swing was coming into the picture.
Yeah.
And then grunge was coming into the picture, and 80s was kind of on its way out. So,
were there any writers, producers, artists that you guys wanted to collab with that you didn't get a chance to?
oh yeah, we actually did a record with a writer, a producer named Vasal Benford, and we did a whole album with him, and he was working with a group called Jade, and one of the singers was helping us work out all the tracks because it was mostly R&B. It never got released. There was drama with the record company, and
which
they were trying.
Was it still on the MCA?
MCA Records, yeah.
Okay.
Our manager and one of the CEOs wasn't getting along, and then there were in the crossfire. We're just the group in the middle of it. He was, I guess, this new one wanted to get rid of him. So it's one of those things where there's lots of politics. Yeah. They're looking for new flavor. And we got replaced. We were supposed to get this whole record out with Lil Silas and I forget his name. And anyway, Vasal Benford, and it never happened. We recorded the whole record, and then we found out later that we got dropped, and then they put us on a USO tour to keep us busy out of country. And when we came back, it was kind of like one of those things where they had an article on the Jets go bankrupt, get dropped from their record company. It was just like total, like, your whole world, because as kids, we're not really understanding the business side. Yeah. They put us on tours, and we're just tour after tour after tour. And you come home and your fridge is full and you hang out with the kids. You don't know the side business. You don't know any of the strategic stuff that's happening. Manager and our parents aren't getting along. And the next thing you know, us kids are just kind of kicked to the curb. And then we're back trying to do casino shows in Vegas and try to figure out, wait, what happened? And now I'm like 17. And when everyone's world is just getting started, ours is just ending, Yeah. So it's a crazy business, and you learn a lot and you grow up quick from that.
Yeah. And once again, since obviously my family's a fan, I know we constantly Google you guys. We see your shows on YouTube, and it was a family affair already. Yes. But it's definitely a family affair now. It's almost like a rite of passage in the family that individuals graduate to the group. Whose idea was that? Just to kind of keep.
I think it was desperation in a way. We had been doing it since we were so little that by the time we hit 18 and 19, my sister Elizabeth, who sang leads, came. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I think it was kind of a manifestation of kind of all the toxicity. You're a family group that's like gypsy family, always traveling. Your next gig is how you pay your rent. And, you're on tour doing all these shows, and then you get dropped from your record company, and they have a whole new flavor of music, and we're trying to stay relevant, but they're ready to move on. And so it's kind of hard to pick up the pieces when we didn't have a plan B, no schooling, you know what I mean? So my sister Liz ends up with breast cancer, and she pretty much just says, I'm checking out, I'm getting married, and I just want to stay away from the industry. And I stayed in it for a little while, but my brothers, which I don't think they really knew what to do. It's the only thing we've been doing for years, over 20 years. And so as we exited the picture, they just were like, let's throw another sister in. She can cover, she can sing like Moana and Liz. And so it was literally just, they were putting in people so that they could get booked. And I think in the process of doing that, they devalued the name, because people come in to watch the Jets and they don't hear the same vocals sound or the quality. And it just, so for a while, I lived in Hawaii for 10 years. Elizabeth kind of stayed away, and our brothers ran the show. And I don't think they meant to, but I think they ended up running it into the ground. And we were like, just take a break. Everybody just walk away for a little bit. Yeah. And just, let the thing because all you're doing is devaluing the name. The more you try to go out there and do a show, and now I've got 10-year-old little siblings trying to take our place, and and they're just in the mix because mom and dad said, hey, it's your turn, get up and do the show. So that created lots of drama in a family.
And I'm sure it did. Was when you guys go out now, do you feel how you felt when you hear the response from the crowds? Because as Barry stated, I watched a couple of your concerts on YouTube, and I see the smiles on your faces. I see the crowd singing the songs right along with you guys. Do you still have that same feel
Oh my goodness.
as you did before?
I think we appreciate it more.
Okay.
When you're in the process of like 11, 12, 13, just traveling around, I don't think you grasp it because you're just so young.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I've got children now. I walked away for a little bit. You come back into it. You can't believe people know your music. So when you get out there and sing, you're like, dang, they really know this stuff. It really hits a chord. And on top of that, all the other groups that we work with, everybody's like grateful to have work again. I think they appreciate. I mean, back in the day, it was like everybody got a chip on their shoulder. Don't talk to me. I got my glasses on. Everyone's got a little, image to protect. But you get older and you start asking them, you got kids? We were with Jody Watley for a little while and we were label mates and super sweet,
Wow.
easy to talk to. Everybody's just raising families. We're on a different level. So I think we appreciate it more now that we're older. We just so appreciate the fans that come out.
Yeah, and speaking of the fans, I think we appreciate it as well. So, number one, it is. I'll kind of throw your business out there a little bit. My apologies, but she's a mother of 6. You said,
yeah, 6.
all right.
Yep.
So, stuff like that when it comes to the family and the music, and with your family, it's all interwoven together. What's a great way for fans to, number one, keep up with you, keep up with what you guys have going on in any new projects? What's the best way to do that?
Well, I'm not big on tech stuff, but we have this thing on Instagram called the 80s Jets.
Yeah.
You can find us there. And you can find us on Facebook, which is just the Jets. My brothers have a residency that they do in Vegas right now.
Oh, okay.
They're called the Jets Family Band, and we're just called the Jets, and we pretty much travel. We have come to a compromise after all the drama we went through. We have learned that we got to be a family first.
That's beautiful.
We weren't a family first. The business was just like running the family, and we were being thrown in the mix. But we've learned after all these years that, dang, we got to put family first, and then the music second, and then everything will find its place. So after a lawsuit and settling it, and my brothers finally dropped it, we finally were like, let's just be a family first. I'll show up to your barbecues, you show up to my baby blessings, and from there on, we just, try to make it just enjoy. We're getting older. We're in our 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
We don't have any more time to be angry. And my parents have 78 grandkids. So we really need to remember that we're going to go soon. We better leave a legacy that's like we learned from the industry how to put family first and let the music follow. So
that's beautiful.
Hey,
Bill, Bill, I think we both had a ball today. And when it comes to interviewing folks like the Jets, this was our pick. We got a chance to basically get a number 1 draft pick to interview. What's another way the fans could speak up and tell us who to interview next?
Hey, you guys know what to do. they know what to do. They need to go to the comment section, our comment section, and we call that My 2 Cents, and they can leave their 2 cents on who they want us to interview. Also, if they have any questions for Miss Moana or the Jets, leave your questions there, and hopefully we'll be able to answer them. And if not, we'll see if we can get them over to the people that can answer the questions, and we'll do our best to get the answers.
Hey, and Bill, what's another way they could? What's something the fans could do to support us?
Like this video, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that whenever we drop any new content, you're instantly notified.
All right, and hey, outside of that, Bill, any parting words?
Absolutely. When you guys, because I follow a lot of acts, a lot of artists on social media, Facebook, everywhere, and I see that you guys have a lot of you guys do your shows, and again, we're going to try to make it out to one. If it's anywhere anywhere near Florida, we're definitely going to be there.
Yes. Well, we were just in Florida. Had I known, we were in Miami, but we'll be in Florida again in July in Orlando. So
I'm right.
He's about 30 minutes away, and I'm
45 minutes away, but it's about the same.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely
Orlando in July.
So hopefully let's stay in touch with my husband, and we'll definitely come out to the show.
For sure.
Absolutely. We are there. We are there. July, we're there.
All right.
Outside of that, everybody say peace.
Peace.